The Body Talks, where we're having real conversations about people's experiences in their bodies. I'm Vera, your host, and we explore how movement, living authentically, and finding your own way to connect with yourself shapes the relationship you have with your body. This is where every body has a story. Today we have Nadine Stille helps ambitious parents blend real life family chaos with their big dreams beyond parenthood without burning out. Bold career moves, more me time, or creating the change they want to see in the world, she's part of their parent support network. With over 15 years of corporate and entrepreneurial experience, Nadine brings both strategic know how and deep empathy to her coaching practice. She's trained and certified in multiple coaching modalities and supports clients around the globe in taking meaningful steps, big or small, toward the life they truly want. Her approach combines real talk, gentle accountability, and a focus on rest, joy, and what truly energizes you. When she's not coaching or chasing after her two little ones, you'll likely find her with a novel in one hand and cake in the other. Hello, Nadine. Welcome.
Hello. Hi there. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait for our conversation.
Oh, me too. Before we even really got into it, well, I guess we were already recording. I couldn't even get through. Today we have Nadine. It was a mess. We were just laughing the whole way.
I
And I'm
know.
sure the rest of our conversation will be like that.
I agree.
God. I have to ask from your bio, which usually is the question I'd leave towards the end, but the end of your bio says you'll likely find her with a novel in one hand and cake in the other. So tell me,
Mhm.
what's your favorite genre of novel and what's your flavor of choice when it comes to cake?
Oh, wow. So that's actually straightforward. So novels would be romance novels. I'm all
Yeah.
here for that happily ever after. That's what needs to happen. I want people to be happy at the end of their story. And the flavor of cake, like all of them. Let me just let me just see my way through whatever there is. Yeah, I just love cookies and cakes and whatever there is. Yeah, bring it on.
If I go to a bakery or even the dessert like counter at a grocery store, when I see all I don't know, I want one of each. What do you mean I have to choose? It's so
You
hard.
know, I can be the same. I frequently do the same.
Yeah.
When I do go and buy something, it's like, one of each, please. And then just look, are you
Like,
serious?
oh,
No, don't worry.
greedy.
But yeah. But I do love baking myself and testing new things out. And my oldest son really likes to help in the kitchen too, which makes it easy and exciting to just get him into it. And he's
Yeah.
got his little apron and he's already learned how to do, he's 5 and he knows how to split an egg and
Oh my.
hold the mixer and stuff like that. And so we're
Oh,
making our way through the baking books and recipes.
I love that so much, especially because like for myself, that's something, I grew up with my Oma and Opa, my grandparents teaching me was like because they were both not well, one of them was actually a baker. So we were constantly like sitting around watching him and like helping out, which like I don't think I was actually helping. I was probably making the situation worse and making more stressful as a child. But I was helping, quote unquote, them bake, and that was always such like a nice experience. So I love that with your and speaking of your son and doing that, if we go back a little, to kind of
Mhm.
tell us about your story and what drew you into this work of supporting parents.
I want to say that I've kind of been into coaching much longer than I've coached parents specifically. I've started coaching women in the workplace, especially if there's like male dominated industries. Then it moved into more of the kind of what I would call global change makers, people who are global citizens who want better for the world. And then once my own parenthood journey started, and that was early on during the pandemic, I was like, oh, there is a lot of need and support requirements specifically for mothers. And that's when I shifted and I thought, hey, moms or parents are the ultimate change makers. They're raising the next generation. So I focused more on that and shifted towards that. That doesn't necessarily mean that I only coach moms. I actually coach quite a lot of dads and people who are not parents at all, which is surprising, but they just connect with, I don't know, my my vibe or what I've got to offer, or the messaging in general resonates. But mainly, it's mainly moms and parents who I coach, and it's just so deeply fulfilling to be invited to be part of their journey, even just a tiny bit in their lives. Sometimes it's a once a session, sometimes it's a few weeks, a few months, sometimes it's going on for years, and it's yeah. For me, like I get a kick out of it. I'm doing I'm doing my dream job, and yeah. Usually, when parents come to me, there's something not right. They're at the stage where they've had enough of the status quo of just hustling all the time, of being super stressed out. They might be at a pivotal point in their lives. So either maybe at the end of parental leave, because that's when oh, I need to go back to this job that I hated 10 years ago type of thing. And it's like work and priorities shift a bit. Or maybe they're between jobs, or maybe their kids are now in school and it's all a bit more settled, and you're looking around. Actually, it's time for me now. It's my turn. And that's when I come in and we'll start dreaming and unpacking and following the what ifs. What if you did allocate a bit more time for you? And what would that look like? How can you make that happen? Sometimes people come to me and they have these big things and I want to do my own thing. I want to do my own job or start up this hobby again. But we do need to look at like how can they sustainably make it happen without burning out, right? Because there's already, yeah, usually parents are caring for everyone else apart, but not themselves 24/7. So you need to make a few shifts usually around first to make sure that there is the time and kind of space for them to follow through on that. And that sometimes can bring up some challenges with it. If you're allocating more time for you, that means more yes for you, more no to something or someone else, and that needs a bit of coaching sometimes. And we're looking at that, making it happen one step at a time, and then go for it. Just love it and get a real kick out of when someone says, "Yeah, I want that. I know there's options, and I want to see how I can make it happen."
Oh, wow. I honestly love that. Especially like it feels like you're helping them find like something new that can be joyful to them, which I think is so important for me, at least, and my job. It's helping people discover joyful movement. It's find what works for them in a way that, yeah, is sustainable and can keep them pushing forward and keep them excited. And I think that's so important, especially for parents, because parents are doing so much, right? And yeah, if you're going back to a job that you already didn't like, then it's it's not going to feel good. Your stress levels are going to go up. And so I think it's really important that you're doing that and you're helping people move forward. And I'm so curious, was there a moment in your own parenting journey that shifted how you thought about your body, energy, or boundaries?
In my body, energy, or boundaries. Maybe a couple of things that actually stand out. One was when I was pregnant first time around. Apart from the first trimester where I could not stand eating any cake. Can you imagine? It's like
Awful.
I got sick from eating cake.
Oh,
So I was like,
no.
what is this?
Your own personal health.
There's worse things, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like ice creams and cakes just would not stay down. And
Oh,
it was like,
no.
okay.
That's so sad.
Once I was through that first trimester, I started doing a bit of work on my own mindset because I was actually terrified of giving birth. I really wanted to have children, but I was terrified of giving birth. And I looked into something called hypnobirthing. It looks a bit, I don't like the word, but it actually really helped that approach. And there's a lot of, have you heard of it?
No way.
Have you heard of it? No. So the approach is more, there's no one's going to get hypnotized or anything. But it's a really good approach on getting all the information is like what's happening actually during birth. It's like you're really looking into understanding what's happening. And at the same time, you're training your mind to be a lot more calm. You're looking at things with a positive outlook. And I used positive affirmations throughout that for the first time. And it really actually, there's a lot of parallels to how this would not just only happen me during pregnancy and birth, but beyond that. And I could see so many parallels for my clients as well when it was like I looked more into positive affirmations, etc. And I just really started thriving and looking out for my own body a lot more. And I was actually in the so since I got pregnant, then it's 5, 6 years ago now, that was probably the time that I was the fittest out of the entire probably 5, 6 years. I was highly pregnant, but I loved being in my body. I loved the energy. I loved being pregnant, showing off my body in like really tight fitting dresses. And I just really loved it. Obviously, all those pregnancy hormones kicked in. You had glowing skin, big, long flowing hair. And I don't know, I loved it. And my midwives would always check in with me. Oh, can we get that as a kind of statement? I wish I had a woman. So I was like, everyone's going through their own journey. And I know a lot of moms who had a really terrible time being pregnant for 9 months. It was like, oh, that's just anyway, different topic. But that was where even looking back now, I could see how confident I felt in my own body going through the birth process. It was like, it started Friday and I gave birth on a Monday.
Oh my gosh.
And, and there were a couple of things that did not go according to plan, including broken down communication lines. Like I think that was a time when one of the local mobile networks collapsed and there wasn't any information about it. We couldn't get hold of our midwives or the hospital, no nothing. It was like, how do we contact anyone? Anyway, so there were a lot of like hiccups here and there, but I felt so confident in and energized in mind and body. I still look back and was like, wow, that was really good. And then actually, and I need to do some more thinking about it now that you asked me the question. The second time that really came out was just before I gave birth, second time around. I did a lot more stretches. That was also for birth prep, and I really wanted my baby not to go over the due date. So I was like, okay, there's certain exercises that I can do to help along, and I wanted it to go a certain way again, if possible, without any medical interference of some way. It's like doing all these stretches, and I felt good. I still loved, like, for most of the time, I was laboring on the outside of this wall in our living room on a bouncing ball, and I was chatting with my husband, eating not Snickers, was it a Twix after another Twix water bottle, and then just on the ball and going forward. And it felt, I can totally do this. Very powerful. And probably the third time is just around now. Actually, the last couple of weeks, I still have it's about 10 months past giving birth the first time around. I'm still soft and I've around the belly area, a lot softer than I used to be. And I'm raising 2 boys and I want them to know that all bodies are beautiful. We're not, and if something comes up, is like I'm very mindful of how I talk about my own body in front of my kids. And that has taken a bit of work, but it's more, not a lot, but it's just a lot more like mindful. Hey, isn't it nice to have that nice cushy belly when you bounce on it? Or just like, I'm still nursing as well. And so anything around that isn't it great what a body can do and how you get all the nutrients from it? And so I want that to be a positive message when I talk to them about it. So those are 3 very distinct areas all around kids. For some reason, but that they ruled my world in the last few years.
I think it's so great. And, even on that last one, like to me, it came out a thing that I really love to teach is the importance of self-compassion. Just realizing like the body is doing something totally amazing. And we're not going to guilt or shame ourselves because it's doing something that maybe we didn't want or didn't expect. but it's because it's going through something, going through a change because it just went through a whole pregnancy. Now it's doing something incredible. Like it's literally giving nutrients to your second born, and you're having a body that you can support and you can play with them because of it and all these different things. And I think that's so amazing and so great. I really love all that. So I'd love to talk a little bit about what it means to be supporting parents in taking meaningful steps. You wrote this in your bio. And so I'm curious, you talk about what supporting parents in taking meaningful steps and focusing on rest, joy, and what energizes someone. So how do you guide parents in tuning into their own body signals for rest and joy?
Most of the time, it's a mindset thing first, because the rest as a parent is a foreign, what's the word I'm looking for? Is a foreign concept?
Yeah, thermal concept.
Yeah, so oftentimes, at least, what's that? Am I allowed that?
Yeah.
It's more of the allowing yourself to have some rest, seeing rest as actually productive and seeing how it makes sense to bring more of that in your life beyond just sleep. Even sleep is a challenge, and that I feel is the main challenge. But there's there's other forms of rest as well, types of rest. And so it's a mindset thing around rest. It's the same about joy. And I'm not talking, there is joy in parenthood, of course, and you're looking at the joy that your kids can bring or your family and the memories that you're making. And there is joy beyond parenthood as well. So where it's the kind of maybe reconnecting to yourself, what brought you joy before becoming a parent might not be the same as now, or it still is, but you need to rediscover that. So it's the who are you now? What is energizing you now? What is bringing you joy now? It might be something totally different. It might also be something that people would want to do in smaller steps rather than, okay, I'm going horse riding now for the entire weekend versus, hey, can we go to the zoo and look at the horses there or whatever it is? But it's more of a discovery. What makes sense, similar to what you've mentioned earlier around making it sustainable and personalized, because everyone is different. And then coming back to the body around it is, where does that show up? If you don't have any rest, where do you notice that in your body? What is tense? What feels off or stiff? What would it look like if you did have more rest? What would you do with that energy? Would you put that into your family? Would you put that into your own joy? What would you do with more energy? Just like 10% more energy. What would you do with it? It's like the possibilities open up, right? And you start dreaming and imagining. And that then is a big motivator to actually see it through, maybe to set those boundaries and rein in a bit more time for yourself, even if it's half an hour a day or one Saturday morning every month where you're doing just something for yourself. But that motivation needs to be there. So we're first looking into more something that is, yeah, a mindset thing. So we're more talking around it. Where does it make sense? Where does it show up? And what might bring you joy? And it's different for everyone. And yes, the body plays a big role in that. And then we get to debrief as well, right? If you're trying something new out, what was that like? How are you feeling now? Are you feeling exhilarated? Did you feel a bit anxious going in there in the first place? It's a bit like doing something for yourself. That even joy can be quite radical.
Oh, yeah.
For if you're focusing is it just on yourself, like doing something for yourself, no kids, no partner around, and mom guilt comes to mind. Just another topic that can be a whole podcast topic on its own. But there's so many complicated feelings that come up. And but once you do something, and that in itself is energizing, right? It's doing something, you get really giddy around it. When can I do that again? It gives you a confidence boost. And before you know it, you want to do it again and you're doing it again. And then you're having more time for yourself. It's like this snowball effect. Yeah. You need to start first. And that sometimes requires a bit of permission, giving yourself permission and being
Yeah, that's
gracious
literally
with
what
yourself. Or
I was thinking all the
yeah.
time was it's that permission to do it, to say, no, like I'm gonna take some time for myself. And I do think, yeah, like again, I've never been pregnant. I don't have children. I have cat children, I guess you could say. But like I hear the concept of mom guilt a lot. And I can only imagine because I think of just normal guilt, but then, yeah, like mom guilt, it sounds like it's a different beast almost. And yeah, like to give yourself that permission of, no, I can focus on me for these moments I think it is radical. I think it's very important. And I think it's something that, and it also teaches your children, maybe not directly, but indirectly, that like you can have boundaries within this. And, we can focus on ourselves, even though we're also focusing on someone else or to like, we can still take a little time for ourselves. And I love that you offered, like you opened this door to what could you do with that time if you're resting more, and to see like how it's feeling in your body. Because of course, for me, the mind body is so, so important for flexibility training, mostly for safety reasons, but also just to know how our body is reacting to things. And I think, yeah, to also notice that when you're maybe really tired or you're stressed, or when you're rested, noticing, oh, I don't have this stiffness in my low back like I normally do. And is that related to my rest, or is it related to something else? And just being curious about what's happening, and that, okay, well, if this isn't hurting, like I think of, for me, I have chronic back pain. And when my back pain is very, like, it's kind of going through a breakthrough and it's getting pretty tough, walking around is just a no-go for me. I'm like, and so when I'm feeling better, I'm like, oh, I can walk. I can go on a hike now. I can do this. I can do that. And then, yeah, as I start imagining and exploring what that could look like. And I think that's so important, even that taking the time to just imagine it, even if you don't do it, because you're just being creative in that way, I think is so fun. Just imagining the possibilities of that. That's great.
And that's the thing. Oftentimes we think there aren't options or possibilities, right? And we're saying no to ourselves or to joy or to rest even before we've given it a chance or to explore it even, right? So the mind is really, really powerful. So if you're not doing it right away, definitely the imagining, to start dreaming what that would be like, and then dreaming what it would be like if you do it yourself,
Yeah.
not just anyone, and what that might look like. And if your goal is to, I don't know, continue your life for the rest of your life to live in Mexico, it's probably not gonna happen if you quit your job right now, pack up and move to Mexico.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you can there's ways you can work towards that and still get a bit of a high and start taking maybe language lessons,
Yeah.
or immerse yourself in the community, in the local
Yeah.
Mexican community, or whatever there is. There are ways to slowly and baby
Or
steps
yeah.
bring yourself a bit closer to that
Yeah.
before you actually make that big move. And that's just obviously one
Yeah, it's having that big
example.
idea and breaking it down into smaller steps. And it's, you said like, yeah, like start learning Spanish, right? And of course, my next step is, yeah, microdose what you want. So microdose taco night. Like,
Yes.
those small things though, and slowly incorporate it, and then turn those small things into a bigger thing. Maybe we take a trip, for a week long, and then maybe in a year or two, you take maybe a month off and go, and you explore it that way. To take those small steps too, I think is a great way to test the waters too. Because if you go straight to, and we're using the example of Mexico, you move to Mexico and you go into an area you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, and you're going to probably really end up hating it because you're overwhelmed, you don't know what's happening, you're confused probably a lot of the time. Versus if you take those small steps, you can slowly, it's like walking into the ocean, right? You're not going to dive in where the sharks are, like super far out, when you know you can't swim, you're gonna,
Hopefully.
yeah, you're gonna stand at the
No.
edge and you still by little, and then maybe you come out and then you take some lessons and then you go again, right? Like it's different things.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's testing it out and still not putting too many what obstacles in your way. That's what I wanted to say. Or I can only rest, or I can only have joy when or if these and these things are in place. No, let's just see what there is right now. What can we do? And sometimes it doesn't have to be a big thing, but something consistently that you say, oh, that's mine. That's the mindful thing, right? It could be 5 minutes in the morning, a quiet cup of hot coffee, right? Like before maybe the kids get up or whatever there is, or a lunch break and you're having your own food. You don't need anyone's like leftovers, or that could be just it. Or once a month meeting up with other mom friends and hanging out. And it's like your thing. It's non-negotiable. That's your time.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be.
I love that idea so much because I think it's so important. So, as a parent yourself, this is definitely saying like on the topic we were just talking about, but what's one non-negotiable practice that you've built to reconnect with your body and avoid depletion and kind of take your time to, imagine?
I would say read romance novels and eat cake. Always.
Love
I definitely get hangry. That's me. And I can tell with my boys, they're my kids. So we always like to replenish in like my body is I definitely have to have food. I always have food with me
it.
or on me wherever we go. I always make sure that there's something for the kids as well. But because I'm also still nursing and breastfeeding, I just need a lot more calories. So I'm constantly like, okay, fill me up. It's like energy goes out one way with the kid. I was like, I need to get that energy into me that way. And so that is and it's definitely checking in. I can tell when there's not enough water. And by the way, thank you for your, is it Monday weekly Monday reminders
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Instagram. Check here if you promise to drink more water. Thank you, Vera, for the reminder. So yeah, it's all this is just to say is like I've become a lot more mindful. I need to be able to function better. I'm not that great to be around if I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I need to have food and water. That's very obvious.
Yeah.
For me to be around. And yeah, and I don't know, is it mindfully or emotionally just recharging? Definitely some quiet time with the book
Yeah.
really does it for me.
Mhm.
Because usually it's not that quiet around. There's always something or someone. So yeah, that
Yeah.
would be me connecting with myself.
Yeah. And you saying that immediately, like, yeah, I love living alone and just having my cats. And I recently bought a wind chime. And every time, like, I have all my windows open, I can actually hear it from my backyard and I'm at the front of my house. And just hearing it just gives me that little bit of joy of like, oh yeah, I'm here. Like it just like grounds you that little bit. And yeah, just have that like just that silence, especially if you're in a house that has a lot of noise. Not necessarily bad noise, but it's still a lot. It's still overwhelming the system. And taking just some time for yourself, whether it be, going for a walk alone or ocean waves on your headphones, something like that, right? I love that so much.
I do have that actually. Sometimes when I'm working away by myself, I have this kind of ocean waves on as well, just for that. And we bought a white noise machine
Yeah.
for my son
Yeah.
to help him sleep better, but it actually helps me to have it consistently set up to thunderstorm and rain, summer rain. It's so soothing.
Yeah.
It's like a really nice sleep cue for all of us. And
Oh, I love that. I
oh,
recently bought so my old one broke and I just didn't replaced for a long time. I finally replaced it. It's one of those sunrise alarm clock. It has all those white noise features. And I go to sleep with one that's more like a meditation. So it's more like a guitar strum every once in a while. But the one I wake up to is ocean waves. And I love it. It's so calming to just slowly wake up to like the waves crashing. And I'm like, oh, I wish I was real and I was there so much. But it's so nice to have like a white noise machine, or like in my case, like a sunrise alarm clock, like those kind of things to just calm your nervous system down a bit. So my next question is that parents often feel the pressure to do it all. And I've definitely seen it with all my friends who are parents and even my own parents and my friends' parents. And how do you help them claim time, space, or bodily autonomy?
Again, it differs from person to person and where they're at
Yeah.
already. How to claim it is possibly also already looking at, their personal situation. Where are they? What are their non-negotiables? What has to happen?
Yeah.
If the kids are already at school, if what the routine is like, even over the weekends, where if they're commuting to work or not, what that commute might look like if they do go in. Is there some time for them there to reclaim a bit more? How are they using their time effectively? But a lot of times is it's boundary setting and really having a look at what isn't really working.
Yeah.
And often when we explore that question, it's actually not that hard to tell for parents. It's like, yeah, this is like, this isn't ideal, or
Yeah.
this isn't, but it's like, it's just how we've done it. And we haven't really looked into how we might do it differently, or what that might look like. And like changing habit or routine that isn't quite working.
Yeah.
And then we'd be looking into how that might be achieved more differently. And also how, I want to say, how much they want to change things, because sometimes it's just not possible to cover the full day for yourself or to do it all. So what would it be like if you're doing 10 minutes every day for yourself, or half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening? Would that be something that's sustainable? And how willing or are you, how kind of desperately does that need to happen? Maybe because work's changed or something else has come up. So it's again very individual, but oftentimes it's more like smaller chunks throughout the day or the week or whatever there is to slowly get into it. And when you see, oh, this is actually working, I get this hype from it, or this is really something that makes you feel good as well. And then expand from there. Does that kind of answer your question?
I think so. I think it's really just about finding and creating it almost, I don't want to say a schedule, but creating that space and that time for what you want to do that's, that you're creating that boundary around, but doing it in such small, manageable pieces.
Yeah. And on that, you'd also sometimes and you kind of need to explore, okay, I want this to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at, okay, so if you want this to happen, that means this cannot happen, right? What are you saying yes and what are you saying no to?
Yeah.
And just opening this up, or this can still happen, but we'll have to draw the timeline a bit more, right? So just talking it through and seeing that whatever you maybe had in mind is not possible, realistic, or is not realistic enough for the time, right? Because also then you need to count in that the kids might be sick, and then it's falling on things are going to change, and to build that flexibility in a bit as well.
It immediately makes me think of, so because I have ADHD, and for me, creating a calendar of like things to do is very overwhelming. So I very often will start something and I like immediately scrap it. And I'm like, I'll figure it out the next day and, continue on. And I finally found one that's worked for me. And it's only because the person who was explaining her system was like, you're an adult at the end of the day. So if you don't do the task you put on your calendar, that's fine. But you have to remember that there's consequences to your actions. So you either have to move that task to a different time, or if you do completely remove it off your calendar, like, okay, but just what effect does that have for this other task or this other thing that you want to happen? And I
Mhm.
similar with this, where it's, moving things around, be flexible in that way, pun intended. That like to old if this changes and this change, okay, let's remember like what's gonna happen if that changes. Is it like a good change? Is it a change? And okay, well, like, do we need to relook at this and maybe not change it, or can we go ahead, right? Like it's those
Mhm.
kind of like intricacies of like
Yes.
of it all, you know?
Yeah, and look at that with a bit of self-compassion as well, because sometimes we're going in as, yeah, I want this to happen right now, and this is how we're gonna make it work, and then real life hits, and you're like,
Yeah.
ooh. And see, and then it's down to not stopping, but looking at, okay, how can we continue doing this, or how can we rest right now to gather the energy and then continue doing it, right? Instead of throwing it all overboard, which obviously can be okay too, but it's a matter of, is that really what you want, or can we continue on?
Mm,
And sometimes that just needs a good dose of self-compassion
yeah.
and maybe accountability as well. So there's always, okay, so how much do you want me to hold you accountable
Yeah.
for you to do something till we're there? And often it's a gentle thing because I get it. There's just so much on our plates. And if this is important to you, then let's find some time for you to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that gentle accountability is so important because sometimes, like, especially when we're so busy and life is so hectic and things are constantly shifting and changing, which life does that, we're going to forget sometimes of certain things. And, to be held accountable in, a caring way is to be like, oh, yeah, no, I did mean to focus on this. I didn't mean to do that. I should have done this. Okay, let's, recoup. Let's see how we can get back on track in whatever way that may look.
Uh-huh.
So I'd love to know, um, what is one cultural or systematic expectation around parenting that you're like, this needs to be scrapped, that you'd like to see shifted and changed?
How long do we have?
Give me like your main
Mm,
two, your top two.
the, gosh, there's so many. One that comes to mind is parenting is tough. It just is tough. And sometimes it's tougher than it needs to be. And we can change something around it. There's things that are in our control to make it a bit easier. Some things that could make it so it's all kind of the systematic thing of, oh no, you just do it. You're kind of this messaging around being a super mom
Right.
or a super parent, then, or you can just, like, you're the carer, you'll figure it out. There's don't complain, just do it. It's tough, but don't complain about it. Just stay in your lane type of thing. There's so many messaging around it being tough and don't complain or don't do anything about it, or you just basically sucking it up
Yeah.
and maybe not reaching out for help or not setting those boundaries or not saying no to things and feeling you have to do it all.
Yeah.
And I feel, especially in the very early years, that can be difficult to sometimes even accept help. If people like say, hey, I can give you a house, I don't know, because that might mean or come across as, or you don't have it all together.
Yeah.
So it's yes, it's tough because it's tough. And they are also like, let's look at ways to make it a tiny bit easier. There might be things that are possible to change or to adapt a bit. Sometimes the only thing that you can change is maybe a mindset
Yeah.
on how you see things and giving yourself that, again, compassion seems to be a running theme today in our chat. And sometimes it might be reaching out for help
Yeah.
or accepting some help or reaching out and finding a resource and doing things slightly differently.
Yeah. Like,
Who
one
knows?
one thing I've talked to people I've interviewed on this show, is the importance of community too.
Mhm.
You know, I think part of what you do is offering a sense of community to people because you're there supporting them in their dreams really and what they want to
Mhm.
do. And I think, yeah, like I think, that's one of my big things I've noticed as an expectation of parents is that they should be able to do it all by themselves too. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
lean on your community, lean on people to help you and support you and find resources and utilize them because
All right.
it's
And
yeah.
yeah, I like one of the things that I kind of like to tell people is that working with me shouldn't be something else that they need to cross off their
Yeah.
to-do list. Not another chore, not another meeting, not another uh, something that they have to do, but more see like coaching sessions with me and my help as something to get them through those
Yeah.
lists faster, easier, more efficient, maybe reduce the list because you're fine. We're looking at what actually really has priority on there and what's just quote unquote noise
Yeah.
or things that you feel you should be doing but don't really want to be doing.
Yeah.
All those things. So yeah, I'd like to see myself as an extension
Yeah.
of parent
Yeah.
support village,
I think
kind of, and
so.
just take the load off a bit.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. The society we are in is so harsh on everyone, but parents specifically, because I think of how many times, even as like in the fitness industry, you see, oh, get rid of your mom bod and bounce back to your old body. And like these kind of like terms of like this guilt that comes onto you, which like, is such a classic trope of the fitness industry is the guilt.
Right.
But to like
It's like,
push that, oh my gosh. Like, it's not needed.
yeah,
We have other things to focus on, you know? Like, at
absolutely.
the bottom of the list, right? It's not important. What society thinks of your body is not important. We can why don't we focus on the kids? Why don't we focus on ourselves? Why don't we
Exactly. And on cue, I was waiting for it when I was like 9 months pregnant. It's like just scrolling through my feed. Hey, here were the here were the ads on bounce back.
Yeah.
Here's how you get
And they
like,
always use the word bounce
after giving
back.
birth. I hadn't even given birth
Yeah.
yet. And somehow they use, okay, here, you need to do all these fitness things to
Oh my gosh. Like, it's not
whatever, get back to it. And
no, it's not needed. Like, yes, you do need like training and strength training and mobility training after to help your body heal. And so you're not like just like tightening all up, especially like holding a baby or a child does do a lot on your back and your core muscles. So yes, you want to strengthen it for that, but not because you want to change the shape, because that's what society is telling you is like the norm. Like you should do it. Like you don't have to. That's not important.
exactly. It was usually not the strengthening part that was advertised. It was more
Never. It's
around
never
the
that.
size and the weight, the number on the
It's
scale.
always,
Yeah.
which like that's the thing at the bottom of the list. We should be careful
Mhm.
about, our cardio health, our strength level, our flexibility, so we can keep up with our kids and we can play with them and do all we want. Like I always
Mhm.
remember I had one student of mine and her biggest goal was to be able to walk around Disney for the entire day without getting like overly tired. Like obviously she'd be tired,
Mhm.
not overly exhausted because she wanted to do that for her kids. And I think that's such an amazing goal to be able to want to
Mhm.
kids, but that's not an aesthetic goal. That's, oh, I need to look a certain way for Disneyland. It's not, no, we don't like that.
Yeah. I like that too. And actually, while you were talking about it, there's something that I found pleasantly surprising when I was pregnant and was going through my prenatal checkups. As it was, but and I don't actually know if this is Canada why, but I'm originally German, and I remember, and I've lived in a number of other countries, and obviously had friends there who were parents or pregnant, and I remember them always coming back and having like you had weigh-ins every time you went to prenatal. I remember a conversation with a man was like halfway through and she was told that was back in Ireland and she was really distraught coming into work after one of those appointments and saying she was like kilo over whatever the norm was at the time. And she was asked not to eat so much. It's like to not,
Right.
apparently she was gaining weight too quickly
Oh my goodness.
while she was pregnant. And she was told not to eat so much and be mindful of what she eats. And she was
Oh,
just eating like normally, but
yeah.
it weighed on her so much. Is awful. And here,
Oh, goodness.
I think with the first pregnancy, I was weighed in, but only at the very beginning,
Mm,
never throughout, not even after, just before I gave birth, nothing.
okay.
And then the second time around, I think they just asked if I knew
Yeah.
by any chance how much I weigh, and I don't know. That was about it at the very beginning. Not any other like check-ins, and that wasn't a stressor.
Yeah.
All right. So it's taken straight out. And when I actually ask, it's like, oh, we don't do that over here. And
Oh, no.
actually, I like it.
Yeah. Just to be told, be more mindful of what you're eating, especially when you're pregnant and like you're not eating just for yourself in those situations. Like you're eating for the literal human you are growing inside of you. Like that is
I
beyond
know.
wild.
And a lot of the weight gain is actually not the baby.
Yeah,
It's extra fluids, like you're producing a
exactly.
couple liters more blood and there's
There's so much
fluid
happening.
inside. Was it like there's just lots of other
Yeah.
things that are beyond your control.
Oh my goodness.
I just remember that conversation with that woman. It's like, how am I
Um,
supposed to eat less? You already can't eat everything during pregnancy because you have to look out for um different types of fish that you can't eat or fresh cheeses and stuff like that. So you have to be a bit more mindful. Um,
oh, geez.
the weight
Yeah.
really, hopefully.
That's awful. And you can only imagine like how many people who've been pregnant have been told that throughout the years too, which I'm sure it's been like thousands and thousands. Like
Mhm.
that's not the only doctor who's ever said that, right? Like that's awful. Oh my goodness. So away from that conversation, just a casual segue into the next question. So I'd love to know, like, so your little ones are fairly little still, like you said, they're 5 and this one's not even a year
And
old.
not even a year.
So, um, obviously I'd maybe the 5-year-old, but I'd love to know what's something you'd love for them to learn over as they age from seeing the work you do.
They learn. That's such a heavy loaded question. I was like, oh my God, I'm painting out my own dream here right now. Like the things that I'm talked about. Because I haven't really thought about it that much in specifically, but I do talk about with them who I'm helping and why. And they do see me. I talk to them about working. So for them currently it's, oh, Mama plays with her laptop in in the office at home. So
Yeah.
that's what works for work to them is, oh, you just go to the office.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's so there's different aspects that come through in other areas too. So definitely compassion for everyone. It's like the kindness, compassion, yeah, helping each other. Women can and do amazing work. It's not just the fathers who do it. It's like everyone works and contributes, and you can enjoy work. You can be anyone you want to be. And yeah, my oldest actually had a story around it because he was told by another boy, yeah, you can't be this at
Wow.
daycare, you can't do this. And he was really distraught coming home. No, you can be in life whatever you want to be. You make the rules. And then we told him that daycare told him during the summer it's hot, you need to wear a hat. He was distraught.
Oh,
He was so um he was like, when someone cries and it's like this heart
yeah.
breaking sobbing, and I was like, it just asked me to wear a hat, like one of those baseball hats, right? And he said, Mama, you lied to me. Huh? What kind? Well, hang on. We were about to leave the house, and I was like, what do you mean? And he said, you told me I can be whoever I want to be. And so between those conversations were months. Is Mama, you told me I can be whoever I want to be. And if I wear that baseball hat, I don't feel like myself. I was like, Holy smokes. Okay, so you do listen.
Yeah. He's gonna grow up to be like, I'm not a hat person.
For sure.
Oh, he's
Yes. But so I'm really into self-compassion, owning your feelings. So we talk a lot about feelings, naming them, what's going on, behavior that isn't okay, that come with certain feelings.
yeah.
And the whole thing around toxic masculinity is definitely a topic between myself and my husband, and how we can counter that early on and
Yeah.
bring it in so they're very nurturing. Boys are caring for each other.
Yeah.
So that all comes through in the way I obviously work and help other people, but we're also very consciously bringing that into the world of our two boys. And we're helping each other out and are mindful about the environment, about other people. Yeah, I was in a roundabout way, but maybe I can envision a vision board for myself on that question. It's a
Oh,
very good question.
I love I can't wait to see, where that vision board goes. I'd love to see what you end up with, because even just what you answered, I think is so beautiful. Obviously from what you do in your work, I can tell that self-compassion comes out of it, and like being kind to yourself, and, understanding your emotions. And again, like we were talking about that mind-body connection of recognizing where things are, manifesting out. And I think for you to want to instill that on your boys is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So thank you so much, Nadine, for joining me today. If people want to learn more about you, work with you, where can they find you?
They can. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I was like, it's like happy dance.
Yeah.
And so if someone listens to the very end of this, first of all, thank you. Thank you for listening to the end and us having a bit of fun together. If people want to connect with me, the best way is to join my newsletter community. So just head over to my website. I don't know, would you be able to
I
put
will link it in
the
the show
website
notes.
link in it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So or if you're still here after this little rambling session, please head to the show notes and follow the link to my website and grab yourself one of the freebies. There's lots and lots of resources in my resource library, and any one of them you'll get a wonderful resource, free resource, and you'll join my newsletter community as well. That's the best way to stay connected. And yeah, I think that's it.
Amazing.
Like, newsletter, here you come.
Yeah, I
You
love
have me
it.
in your inbox. You don't need to seek me out. I'll come to you.
That is great. I will have that link in the show notes so you can go join Nadine's newsletter. So, one final question. What's one affirmation or reminder you personally return to when things feel overwhelming, that you could share with those tuning in?
The reminder is to listen to what your heart tells you. Oftentimes, like I said earlier, it's very loud and noisy. There's so much going on, not just from kids, but you have all the things in your head, all the things that you need to do. There is the shoulds from all the shoulds that you think you need to be doing. People are telling you what to do. There's just noise.
Yeah.
And it can be very noisy in your head, even with the thoughts that are going on.
Yeah.
So a reminder is to try to get some calm into your head and to focus on what your heart is telling you.
Yes. Listen to what your heart has to tell you. I love that. That is cool. Thank you, Nadine, again for joining in this lovely conversation on the Body Talks. And thanks to you, the listeners, for tuning in. Remember to drink some water, do something kind for your body today, and I'll catch you on the next one.